Oh my god, hi everybody! There's so many of you here already. What the heck? Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome Big Ham Raiders. Thank you so much for raiding. Oh my gosh. Brazil. I love the Brazilian flag. Love seeing that. Oh my gosh. I don't know what to say. Okay, yeah, we have a plan today. Let's let's look at the itinerary really quick. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I'm doing, guys. Oh my god. I have alerts paused, but thank you guys. I'll thank everyone later properly. But yeah, thank you so much for the subs and everything and for the follows. I am debuting today finally after like a bajillion years. I yeah, I'm very nervous as you can tell, but I'm also very excited, and we do have a little bit of a plan today. Let me pull it up on screen for anyone who is new here. 1 second. Let's see. I have the totally wrong window pulled up, so I need to. I had like everything set up. I was not expecting a whole bunch of people to show up today. Holy crap! Okay, give me like 20 seconds because I need to find the right window. Okay, there we go. So our plan today is how do I do one of these things again? So it's just a regular debut. I will be playing or not playing, oh my gosh. I will be doing an outfit reveal finally, and then doing all of the toggles and stuff, and then all of the intro and credit slides. I'm really excited to do that because the credit is long overdue, and I have so many people to thank for inspiring me and helping me to stream and stuff like that. And yeah, so I'm really excited to show everyone that has worked really hard on the stream, and then we'll do a little outro segment, and then we'll do a 5-minute break after that, and then I will be doing a behind the scenes thing, which I think is pretty interesting because I feel like not many people do that, so I am excited for that, and then we'll do a Q&A marshmallow thing and review clips if we have time afterwards. So we have a lot to do, and I only have like 2.5 hours, so let's get started. But first, let me like say hi to everybody. Holy, there's so many of you. Hello Yammers, hello Bun, hello Ari, hello Bear, hello Kieran, thanks for making it. Hello Big Ham, hello Matthew Rice Seeker, hello let's see. I'm just scrolling through chat here. Hello Monkey Chi, thanks for follow. Hello Yuli, thanks for being here. Hello Rice, hello Vince. Oh my god, I forgot to turn off sound redeems. Okay, it's fine. I'll just leave them on. This is a very, very casual debut. Wait, no, stop! Wait, no, they're not supposed to be on. Oh, hello, Royal Milk. Wait, is that you, Tora? Oh my gosh, hello. Welcome. Let's see. Hello, Ari. Hello, Lyra? Oh my gosh, it's been so long. I forgot how to say your name. Hello, Rice again, and Heenin, hello. Okay, I think that's everybody. Let's get started. Holy crap, you guys are crazy. Okay, I need to find. How do I use OBS? Does anyone here know how to use OBS? Okay. Let me close this and then open this. Okay, Lyra. Okay, thank you for reminding me. It's been too long, but I'm really happy that you are here. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I use Streamlabs. No, I don't use Streamlabs. Okay, wait. No, I should be doing my model stuff first. So let's do that. So that's what I look like, but let's go through the model first. Whoop, whoop. Whoop. Okay. Let's see. So we'll go over here. This is me. I'm very squishy, and you guys get to see my feet for free today. Yeah, so yeah, we'll go to their model. So this is my default look, and I've been using this and streaming with my little bow tie for the last like I want to say like almost year and a half now. So Haru voice for free. Yeah. So you guys are familiar with this look probably, and I think in my humble opinion, I look very cute. You guys will see the credits later, but most of you know that Riri worked on the art for my model, and I'm very lucky to have to be able to work with her on this, and yeah, I'm really happy. But you guys can now finally see. I posted a teaser, and it like kind of showed everything already. But here's my full outfit reveal. Let's see. I double pressed the button. Here's my outfit. Hello. Okay, and that's not the full outfit, so it does come with a headset because I'm in space. And I guess I should explain like all of the little symbols and everything. But wait, there's more. There's one more thing that I have. And the suit is incomplete without this. Houston, we have a chonker. Yeah. Houston, we have a penguin. Okay, so the last thing that is part of the suit is say hello to Haru. This is my little companion, and he lives on top of my helmet. Let me zoom in. Hello. I don't have it set up right now, but Haru actually has a little mouth, and soon it will be able to talk. So I didn't have time to set it up for this stream, but Haru will be able to talk very soon and do TTS, so please look forward to it. Okay. Yeah, so I will talk about my outfit a little bit. So as you guys know, I'm an astronaut, and I worked with Riri to design all of the little symbols on my suit. So let's see, I can't really point to it, but I have two patches on the front. One is the blue patch, which represents Earth. If you guys are space nerds, you guys may be familiar with Carl Sagan, who wrote a book called Pale Blue Dot. And it is, you can Google it. It's a photo of the Earth in like a sunbeam. And it's so far away. It was taken by Voyager 2, I believe. And it's just a picture of the Earth from like super far away. And it just looks like a little blue dot in the middle of space. And it's a really famous photo. So the blue circle represents Pale Blue Dot. And then the 3 stars and the leaf represent the life on Earth. There's nothing super special about 3 stars, except it's part of a pun for my name. So Sango also means 3-5 in Japanese, which is the other patch on my arm. So a lot of real astronauts in NASA, they have a patch on their arm, which kind of shows like which mission they're part of. So I guess you could think of that as the mission number. So there's like, you know, you guys probably have heard of like Apollo 1 through 13. But yeah, that's 35. And then the other side is a emperor penguin. So if you guys didn't know, I am an emperor penguin. And so that's like a emperor penguin. It's based off of a SpaceX patch, actually. So that, I think it's super cool. I kind of drew it and then redesigned like the patch that goes on the arm. And let's see. Oh yeah, I have a crown too. I've been wearing that for a while. So I am an emperor penguin, so I need to have a crown. So that permanently stays on my head. And then oh yeah, I also have this little like pin. It's like a diamond shaped pin with wings on it. So there's a flag for the North Pole, and it's like an international flag. So that diamond symbol, it represents the North Pole, and it doesn't represent any country or any like organization. It's just a representation, like another representation of Earth. So I think it's super cool, and it kind of resembles the like if you guys have looked up pictures of like flight attendants back in like the 60s, they all have these little like pins with wings on them. So it's kind of representative of flight, and it also has a symbol of the North Pole. So I think it's super cool. And then my zipper has, let me zoom in. My zipper is just a goldfish. There's nothing special about that. So it's just a goldfish because I like eating fish. That's it. Yeah, and then I have a headset, which I kind of doodled it and Riri drew it for me. So yeah, it's based off of a real NASA headset that they use during their missions. Yeah, so it's all part of the whole astronaut suit, and I can now go to space finally. The goldfish cracker, yeah. Okay, so now let's go through the toggles. There's only 5 of them, which you all probably, if you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen them before. Yeah, we're going to the moon, baby. Yeah, you've probably seen my unofficial reference sheet on Twitter already, but I have some expression toggles, which, let me zoom into my smushy face here. Okay. So I have my oh my god, I'm playing Alan Wake 2, and I'm really scared. So I'm gonna cry right now because the boss just punched me. Okay, and so that's my dread emote, and the crying emote kind of goes with that. But it's a separate toggle. That's 100% of the time during Alan Wake 2. Yeah. So that's I started playing horror games recently, and I've always been kind of scared of them, but I'll be like this the whole time. Okay, so that's my horror game toggle, and then I have an angry toggle for when I'm playing Dark Souls. Yeah, this one I really like this one out of all of them, and I don't use it very often, but I think this is definitely my favorite. So let's see here. What else do we have? Oh yeah, and I have a rage emote to go with that. Okay. Oh yeah, this one is for when I'm playing Metal Gear Solid. I have a surprised emote, which I had this made specifically for Metal Gear Solid, so I will be using it in the near future because Metal Gear Master Collection just came out recently. Yeah. So this is my Metal Gear surprise toggle. I will make a redeem for that to play the sound too. Let's see. I can turn on my eyebrows for when this is my determination face for when I'm concentrating. So I can turn my eyebrows on and off, which is a little bit silly, but yeah, I look a little bit more serious when I have my eyebrows on, which I really like. I think it's cute. Okay, and then this one's not really a toggle, but I have night vision. I just turn my eyes red and I can see in the dark. I use this for Halloween, or maybe that was something else. Who knows? Okay. Yeah, it's my Masats when I'm playing fighting games, although I don't play fighting games much these days. But yeah. Okay, so that's all of the... Oh wait, no, we have one more toggle. This is okay, so when Tora was working on my model and rigging it, she gave me this toggle for free because it was so funny that she just wanted to put it in for free. Okay. Let me find the right button here. Oh my gosh. Oh, I have legs. Okay, and then let me show you guys without the suit. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, it's she called it the rise emote in all caps. But yeah, Tora put that in for free. And maybe we'll look at the clip later when she was rigging it. But I have legs, they're real. I don't know how to explain this. There's no lore reason for it other than it's funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that is all of my toggles. Oh yeah, and Haru can live on my head even when I'm not wearing my suit. So yeah, I'm just built different. I'm my cannon height is 35 inches, but when I do this, I reach normal height. Yeah. I can be in the NBA. Okay. Yeah, cool. So that's my model, and I really like it. And I will be streaming with my spacesuit from now on for most of my streams. And I'm really excited to finally be able to show my outfit on stream. Okay, so let's go back here for a little bit, and then we will go through the credits and talk about everyone that helped me put the stream together. Okay, so I think this will be fairly short, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to interrupt. I haven't been paying attention to chat very much, but I'll start reading chat if you guys have any questions. So let's go here. Okay. Okay, here's the Sango profile. I'm an emperor penguin. My birthday was very recently, October the 12th. My age is Olge, undisclosed. It's classified information. I have family. My family is Haru right now. I guess technically I have parents in Antarctica too, but I'm not going to talk about my parents in the stream. It'll be a little awkward. My height is 35 inches, which is shorter than the average emperor penguin. And I speak some languages. My main language is English. I also speak some Cantonese, and I am currently learning Japanese. I'm not very fluent yet, so but hopefully I'll get there. Kanji is very, very difficult, and but I've been studying a little bit every week, so hopefully I'll get there soon. But yeah, my Kanto is not super good, you know. I think a lot of people who learned how to speak Cantonese, they kind of like learned because they're like learning English and like Cantonese at the same time when they're living in the States. Janky Kanto crew, yeah. So I can speak it pretty well. My intonation is pretty good. However, my vocabulary is not very good. So I think when I have a little bit more time, I would like to study more Cantonese vocab. And one of my dreams is to be able to sing songs in Cantonese, because right now it's super difficult for me. So, but yes, yeah, Cantonese. I do love Cantonese food though. It's super, super delicious. But anyways, I don't want to get too sidetracked here. But my official description: shorter and rounder than the average emperor penguin, Sango is a trained pilot and astronaut, which is highly unusual for a flightless bird. Primary directives are to conduct research and look for alien life. So my home is... oh, it's not on the slide. It's in the later slide. But I live in space. But yeah, I would love to do a Cantopop stream. I love... Jackie Chung is my favorite Cantopop singer. I used to have his CDs when I was younger. But yeah. Okay. Okay, and this is for all of the animal VTubers out there. It's very important when you're in an animal to know where you are on the pyramid, the food pyramid. So there are predators out there that will eat smaller animals, and so for penguins, the biggest predators are orcas, and after that there are polar bears. So you should be aware of which predators will will be trying to eat you. Okay. So I think every animal VTuber should have one of these. All right. We gotta look out for each other, little guys. Oh yeah, I forgot to put Gura on the food pyramid, but yeah, you can figure it out. Okay, likes. I really like soup. I'm a soup person. My belly is always full of soup all the time. And I pretty much eat noodles every day. I really like fried food and spicy food. I'm really big on comfort food. And it's probably my #1 weakness because I eat so much like fried food and stuff all the time, but I'm also like trying to eat healthy. So those two goals are a little bit opposed to each other. But I would say it's about 50-50 right now. So I'm doing okay. I'm also big into beverages. I used to drink coffee pretty much every day. I still love espresso and I drink that pretty often. But recently I have been converted into a tea drinker. Somebody gifted me a really nice Japanese tea set. And so now I brew tea at home every day, and it's become a really nice hobby. It's a really relaxing hobby that I enjoy. It's part of my morning ritual. So yeah, so tea is kind of a big part of my life now. Shouldn't be surprising, but I really like birds. Birds and cute things are a huge part of my channel. If you follow me on Twitter, I post quite a few like cute art and just cute things in general. Okay, and then I also really like RPGs and tactics. I have a whole slide on this. Well, I guess it's not all about tactics, but yeah, I really like Final Fantasy Tactics and tactics games, and if you show up to my stream, I'll just talk your ear off about tactics games. But I also like other RPGs. I'm a huge Final Fantasy nerd, and I just like anything with a good story, which goes to the storytelling and lore. I'm also a lore nerd. I recently have been playing Dark Souls, and one of my favorite things from Dark Souls is just how much lore there is in the game. How about the Warhammer franchise? I do like Warhammer. I have not played very many of the Warhammer games, but it is something that I've been wanting to get into. I've mostly played Japanese games as opposed to like Western stuff from Western studios. But one thing I do really like from a Western studio is MechWarrior. I really love MechWarrior. And I know there's a tabletop for that as well, although it's not as popular as Warhammer. Oh, Cassian, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the sub. And thanks for the congrats. Okay, so yeah, and that leads us to the next one, which is Mecha. I love Mecha. I think I first got into it because of Front Mission, which is a tactics game on the PlayStation. Yeah, BattleTech. BattleTech, I think, is the official name for MechWarrior, but MechWarrior is the name for like the video games. But yeah, I love mechs. I really like Gundam. I love MechWarrior / BattleTech, and yeah, it's kind of dangerous because I've been watching a lot of Gunpla streamers recently, but I don't like have space in my apartment for like storing all of the Gunpla stuff. So I'm trying to limit my hobbies a little bit. Okay. Gar. I don't know if you guys have seen Gar before, but it basically means like super badass characters in video games. And I guess it's traditionally associated with masculine characters, but I don't think gender is just a construct. It doesn't actually matter. You can be a man or a woman or whatever, and you can be Gar. But yeah, examples of Gar are like the original Gar character is Archer from Fate Stay Night. And yeah, you can look it up on Urban Dictionary, but it's basically any super badass character. The guy from Fist of the North Star is like a Gar character. I'm trying to think of like a newer example. Raiden from Metal Gear Revengeance has a lot of Gar moments. Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho, yeah, I think that counts. Yeah, anyway, I don't really have a slide on this, but Gar is really important to me. Yeah, once you guys look it up, it will be really obvious what it means. But anyways, yeah, Gar it's like it just lives rent-free in my head. Okay, and then the last thing is sleep. I just love sleeping. I take like 3-hour naps every day. Oh my gosh, Daniel, thank you for gifting 5 subs to the stream. And oh my gosh. Okay, I have to thank everyone properly later, but thank you so much. How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? Oh my gosh, I am horrible at tongue twisters. Okay, dislikes. I really dislike bugs. I get super creeped out by them. There are very few bugs that I'm willing to tolerate, but ladybugs are okay. But everything besides that, just like, I can't stand it. So no bugs, please. Yeah, Gar, so like awesome dead dudes. Yeah, I guess that's one way of putting it. Feeling hungry, I really don't like that. If I feel hungry, then I get really grouchy. So yeah, I'm literally that guy in the Snickers commercial that gets grouchy when they're hungry. How about praying mantises? Those, I think if they're bigger, they're not as bad. Like, I just don't mess with them. Like, I'll tolerate ladybugs and bees because bees actually help the environment. But everything else is like, ugh. I don't like bad games or movies. I think some bad games and bad movies can be a good time in the right context, but for the most part, I just get annoyed by them. So I kind of avoid them. If a game has bad ratings, I'm less likely to play it unless somebody gives me like an alternative opinion that can convince me to play those. Yeah, Saw, I think, is a good example of that. I learned recently that there's like 20 or like 12 Saw movies or something, and most of them are pretty terrible. So horror question mark. I don't think this is true anymore. I used to get really scared by horror games, but recently, I think this is actually Rice's fault, but I recently have been getting into Silent Hill and Alan Wake 2 and a whole bunch of other horror games, and I now understand what the appeal is of playing horror games. I'm like, why would you play a game that like scares the crap out of you? But I've learned that it is about the vibes. So, and that's something I can get behind. So horror will probably move to the neutral category, question mark. Long grinds. I don't like grinds, and therefore I don't like most MMOs these days. I tried playing Lost Ark recently, and there's like too many grinds. So I don't have time for that. So that's something. I used to play a lot of grindy games like Ragnarok Online and stuff, but yeah, I'm too old for that. I don't have time for that anymore. Yeah, the Lost Ark grind. Crest is like that. Yeah. But yeah, I think RO is something that is so nostalgic for me, and the rates are better now that I would still play Ragnarok Online today in like a private server. But pretty much everything else is like, ugh, I'm not gonna touch that. Easy mode. I don't like easy mode in games because I like a good challenge. And I think there's nothing wrong with easy mode. It's just not for me. Like Nier Automata has a easy mode for the people that just want to get through the story. And that's perfectly respectable. I'm not gonna shit on people who want to do that. But I personally like having a little bit of a challenge in games. And I'm not a huge gamer or anything, but if it's easy, then I get bored. So, and I think it ruins the experience for me. So, okay. Loud noises. I have a little bit of like noise sensitivity, I guess. but loud noises really bother me, so I don't like going outside. And that's why I stay inside all the time. I'm just staying home and playing video games to avoid the loud noises outside. And being too hot to sleep is something that also bothers me a lot. The perfect temperature, the room has to be a perfect temperature for me to fall asleep. Okay. Oh, whew, I've been talking so much. Okay. Let me hydrate a little bit. Oh, okay. This is taking a little bit longer than I anticipated. I didn't practice going through these slides at all, so this is like the first time I'm looking at them, by the way. One leg in the blanket. Yeah, I have to use my one leg out as a heat sink to equalize the temperature between one leg and the other. Oh, okay. What is my next slide? Oh yeah, games and media. Well, let me shrink myself. Okay, this slide is a little bit extra. I was kind of afraid that I put too much stuff on the slide, but everything on this slide isn't, it's not necessarily my favorite of all time list, but all of these games and movies and music had a huge influence on me. So if you want to get to know me, you can go through everything in this list and then you'll understand me perfectly 100%. But I guess if I had to pick favorites, those are the ones with the heart icons next to them. So there's Final Fantasy Tactics, Valkyrie Profile, and Nier Automata were hugely impactful on me. And they're also some of my favorites. I try to limit it to 3. So, but yeah, all of these have been super influential on me in some way. Let's see, movies, Blade Runner. I really like the original Blade Runner a lot. And if you haven't had a chance, the final cut was released, I think, fairly recently, and it's like the definitive version of the movie. If you've seen any old cut of Blade Runner, you should definitely rewatch the final cut because it is a much improved experience. Porco Rosso is my favorite Ghibli movie. Because it has airplanes in it. Although I haven't seen The Wind Rises yet, so maybe it'll get replaced by The Wind Rises. I'm actually watching it tomorrow, but yeah, I just love Porco Rosso. The characters are so awesome, and it's a different beat than all of the other Ghibli movies, which is why I like it and I respect it. And then I'm also a huge fan of Westerns, so Unforgiven is probably, in my opinion, the best Clint Eastwood Western of all time, which is, I think is a pretty bold statement, but I think a lot of people haven't seen it. Most people are familiar with like the Fistful of Dollars trilogy, which is a really good trilogy, but Unforgiven just takes all of those things and refines it even further. And it's also a newer movie. I think it came out in like 1995 or something. So it's a little bit of a newer movie, but before Marvel, which is important. Before like modern movie making. And it's just like, you know, like a perfect movie in my opinion. Yeah, and then there's there's a little bit of a funny story behind this slide, but there were like half of my movies list were like Cantonese movies, and then I'm like, okay, there's too many Cantonese movies, so I had to like cut it in half. But yeah, Shaolin Soccer is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a great Stephen Chow film, and of course there's Kung Fu Hustle, which is kind of a spiritual like throwback to all of these old Canto movies. A Better Tomorrow is like, if you like John Wick, you will really like A Better Tomorrow. John Woo invented gun fu for movies, and they use that a lot, you know, in The Matrix and John Wick and all of like the modern action movies. So yeah, if you like that kind of stuff, A Better Tomorrow is like a really good watch. Well, Tenny-bun, thanks for coming to my debut. Really nice to see you. And then Young and Dangerous. If you like Yakuza, Young and Dangerous is the Cantonese version of Yakuza. And I feel like most people don't know about it, but yeah, I feel like Yakuza has really gained a cult, or it used to be like a kind of a cult following, but now it's like pretty popular because they've done really good marketing. But Young and Dangerous is like Yakuza, but like the Cantonese version. And it's really good. So if you like that kind of stuff, it's, yeah, like pretty much unbeatable for me. Okay, music. Trico is a math rock band that I really like, and so is Toei. So two math rock bands. I think I have a little bit of a bias there. And then Perturbator is like it's like a dark synth artist, and yeah, I really like intense music that tells kind of a story. And a lot of these are sort of like that. Yeah. In fact, most of these are kind of like structured. Like, I don't know if you guys like, do people do this anymore? Like listen to albums from beginning to end without doing anything else. But that's what I do with these albums, and I think it's like kind of a experience, because like when you're doing other things while listening to music, you're not really absorbing the music as much. And but yes, a lot of these albums are just like really good to listen and not do anything else and just vibe. But I believe everyone has an album like that, and it's I see some of you are saying yes, and that makes me really happy. Okay, on to the next slide. I need to like zoom here a little bit because I'm talking a lot. We're on a schedule. Okay, anime. I don't really watch as much anime these days, but here are some of my biggest influences. And I think a lot of them were just important for me to, important for different ways. Like some of them were I watched when I was really young. Like when I was a teenage penguin, I watched Cowboy Bebop and Trigun, and that formed like a very core part of my identity. Like Vash taught me about the power of hope and love and peace when I was a teenager. And yeah, Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo for the same reasons. Gunbuster is also super important to me, and so is Hajime no Ippo. And then the one all the way on the right is a mech show called Pat Labor. And that's, I think, a less known mech show, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a cop show, but with mechs, and it is so good. And there's 3 movies that are also really good. So if you like mechs, you should definitely watch Pat Labor. And then on the bottom row, we have Mushishi, which is just masterful storytelling. And so is Ping Pong. Ping Pong is like, in my opinion, one of the best coming of age stories ever told. And I think a lot of people are turned off by the animation style, but I think that's a shame. You should definitely watch Ping Pong if you like anime. It's just like, regardless if you like, that style of animation, or if you think it's a sports anime, it's not really about sports. It's about life. So you just watch Ping Pong. Mob Psycho 100 and Love is War / Kaguya-sama is a really, really great show. And Welcome to NHK and Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. I think the 3 of these are like, I guess NHK isn't really a comedy. I would maybe call it like a dark comedy, but I really like that brand of humor. Like Kaguya-sama has a lot of like slapstick humor, similar to like K-On!, I guess. NHK and Zetsubo Sensei, I think, are like the dark humor part of my personality. I just love all of the witty jokes and how dark it gets, but also like doing the jokes in a way where you could still take it as a joke. I think it is really, really well done. But yeah, Zetsubo Sensei is really, I think, underrated. I think a lot of people who are into anime now haven't seen Zetsubo Sensei, but like it's really a good way to understand Japanese culture if you're into if you just like want to gain a better understanding of like Japanese culture outside of like anime and manga, I think is a really good way to do that, because they talk about like Japanese societal issues and war and stuff. And then they kind of make fun of all of the anime tropes. Like there's literally a character and the only purpose of that character is to have panty shots. But it's like not 100% not supposed to be taken seriously. But yeah, there's so many good things about that show. I could talk about it forever. Okay. Oh, Colleen, welcome to the stream. Thanks for being at my debut. Yeah, Zetsubo Sensei is just so incredible and fantastic. Okay, so that is my anime list. Again, not really a list of like my favorite of all time, although there are some favorite of all times on this list. It's more of like what influenced me the most. So yeah, if you want to understand me, you can watch all of the shows on this list and then you'll understand me. Okay, so that's enough about anime. Oh, I think I put the slide in the wrong order, but that's okay. So my goals for this stream, finish as many games as possible. So the reason I started streaming is because I was like kind of in of a sad state in life, and I'm like, all I do is work all the time, and then after work I'm so tired, and you know, my job at the space company is so stressful, and I don't have anything to do after work. And so I started streaming because I realized that it had been so long since I had finished like a single player game that I wanted to do something about it. So here I am. So yeah, I think most of the content on this channel is going to revolve around gaming, and just something my coach asked me a long time ago was, what did you enjoy doing when you were a kid? And that really hit me really hard, because I realized that I wasn't doing any of the things that I did for fun as a kid. And when I was just a little baby penguin, all I did was play like Secret of Mana on the Super Nintendo and Chrono Trigger, and it's like I want to like get back to those times. So yeah, games, and mostly prioritizing games that I've never played before. Like Dark Souls is one of those where I missed out because I was studying for school and I didn't have any time for games. So I totally missed all of like the PS3 like greatest hits like Dark Souls, and so now I'm playing them, and oh man, I'm having so much fun. Yeah, building a time machine into the past. Okay, do a collab stream. I would really like to do a collab with more VTubers. I actually have not done one, and I actually reached out to Lyra to do one. Unfortunately, she has been super busy lately and we haven't been able to connect. But yeah, I would really love to collab with more VTubers and maybe do some gaming, or actually one thing I was thinking of is a talk show, and maybe just talking about like, I think I'd have to maybe find the right person for this, but I'd really like to talk about maybe things that aren't talked about as much in the VTuber space, or maybe just and we can do like more lighthearted topics as well. But that kind of leads me into the other bullet, which is to do a industry stream. I talked about this maybe like 8 months ago or something. But on top of my space job, I had the opportunity to work for a VTuber company over the past year or so, and it was a really eye-opening experience. So I wanted to put together a little presentation to just talk about my experience, because I have noticed a lot of like smaller VTuber agencies have been hiring managers and like social media people and stuff like that, but a lot of people don't know what it's like to work for a VTuber company. So I think it would be really neat to just like share my experience and then give people an idea of what to expect, because I think it's definitely a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole within a rabbit hole. Um, but yeah, I think that'd be super neat, and I'll probably put it together during my break because I'm gonna be going away for the holidays. But anyway, I've been delaying it because I haven't debuted yet. So, but now that I'm debuting today, I finally have time to like do like put this together and then stream it. Um, Complete a speed run. I have always admired speedrunners, and I'm not too much of a gamer myself, but I'd like to do some kind of a speed run lately. And um, I think the game that inspired me to do this is Signalis, because I replayed it originally to get the secret ending, which was super worth it, by the way, if you have played Signalis. But yeah, I learned that the fastest speed run for Signalis is like 42 minutes. I'm like, how do people do that? I mean, I kind of get how they can do it. And I've seen like Super Mario 64 speedrunners, and some of them are really insane. But I'd really like to do a speed run. I think if I had to pick a game, it might be like Dark Souls or something, because I feel like that would be a really fun one to do. But yeah, something for the future. Okay. Create merch. I've talked about this several times, and I would really like to do a like a merch drop at some point, like stickers and charms and things like that. And then long term goal, I don't know if this is gonna be achievable for me, but I would really like to do a Sango plush. I think that would be super cool. That's like my ultimate goal for for VTubing. And yeah, I think it's pretty difficult, so it would take a long time and a lot of effort, but I think it's achievable, so we'll see. With enough support, I will be able to do it. Yeah, with extendable legs. I heard Phase Connect was looking for Wranglers recently. Godspeed, yeah. Idol is looking for managers. Phase Connect is looking for managers. So if now is a better time than any to get into like the professional side of VTubing. Like if you don't feel like you want to stream, then you can still be part of that space by doing management or social media or marketing or, you know, things like that. Makeshift Sango, yeah, someone else recommended Makeshift, but I don't know what the requirements are. I think you have to be like a certain size of creator, and there are probably some other requirements, but I think the minimum order for a Makeshift is like 200 units or something, and a plushie is like about $50. So that's that's like I think a long-term goal for me. Okay. So that's merch. Fan mascot design. So I will get to this like in the next slide, but I want to design a mascot to represent chat. I already have like sort of a concept for it. So Haru is not a representative of chat. That's just Haru. You guys are I'll talk about it in the next slide, but yeah, I want to do a fan mascot design. I think that'd be pretty neat. Oh, and then the next one is to do a original animation for my lore video. This is another kind of long-term goal, and I know how expensive it is to do animation, but it's something that I've always wanted to do. And I think it'd be super neat. I really wish I actually looked into putting something together for this stream to do a lore video, but I realized just how difficult it is, so I think it's going to be another long-term goal. Is chat the dark eldritch being in the background? Yeah, it's the eldritch space monster that's lurking in the space station. And then last one is 3D model. I think this is a lot easier to do. It's like reasonably priced. There's a lot of people who do 3D models, and I think that'd be super neat to like do VR chat streams or something like that. So that's my goals and content. Oh my gosh, I've been talking for almost an hour. I thought this would go a lot quicker. Okay. Okay, it's community. So home is Sango Station. Fan names. If you guys have any ideas for fan names, you can feel free to submit them in like Discord or something. But you guys are officially known as the Penguinauts. And the other ideas that I came up with are Sangonoids, which is a Gundam reference. Oh my god, Mir, welcome to the stream! Oh, let me show you my model since you're here. Hello! This is my model. You can catch the VOD for all of the toggles and stuff, but hello. And this is Haru. he's the actual one in charge. Yeah, I'm just here. I'm a side character. But anyways, I'm so glad that you can make it. Oh yeah, and we did show your slide earlier. You're here on this slide. So, yeah, if you guys don't know Mir, she is a super amazing artist. Let me give you a shout out. She actually did a lot of the art. I commissioned her for a lot of art in the recent past, and so yeah, please go check her out. Just incredible. Okay, let's continue, cause okay. So yeah, Penguinauts is the official fan name for us. If you guys have a different preference or other ideas, I am definitely open to them. And then our emojis, our official color is yellow for Emperor Penguins, and then I have the penguin and the rocket emote for the Twitters. And then my live tags are Sango Signal for live. If you have any clips, you can post it under that. And art is Sango Paint. Memes are only Newts. And then food pics, which I haven't been using much lately, is Sango Witch. But I love posting food pics. Just haven't done too many lately, so. Okay. Okay, I think we're getting close to the end. Okay, here are my waifus. I actually got this idea from Karin from her recent outfit reveal stream. But I wanted to add something like a little bit of a spin to it. So I categorized all of these using the morality chart. So Lawful Good is Aiba from AI the Somnium Files, one of my favorite games ever. I don't play a lot of visual novels, but Aiba is the best girl. And then Neutral Good is Calcit from Arknights. I just love her design. And you guys can probably tell that I have I have a type. But yeah, please don't perceive. And then Red Saber from FGO is another best girl under the Chaotic Good category. Okay, Lawful Neutral is 2B from Nier Automata. True Neutral, I had actually a really hard time coming up with this one, but I think Touhou it should just be in the true neutral category for everybody. Like everybody has to have a Touhou character that they like, and mine is Yumu because she's Gar. Under Chaotic Neutral, we have Zero from Drakengard 3. I have not played Drakengard actually, and it's one of the games that I have planned. So I would really like to play that and then figure out, learn her story. And then Lawful Evil, I might be getting her name wrong, but Silvarius from Valkyria Chronicles. I really like her design. And then Neutral Evil, Hrist from Valkyrie Profile. This is the only like dark-haired character on this list. And then Lucifer from Helltaker is under Chaotic Evil. So yeah, so now you know my type. Okay. What do I have left? Oh yeah, credits. Okay, the whole point of why I'm streaming today is to give credits to everybody. So Riri did my model art. And she is mainly a traveling merch designer. She goes to different conventions around the country and designs these super cute like charms. She does a lot of Arknight stuff and Hololive, and all of her merch is just super adorable. And when I had the idea for Sango, I knew that Riri was gonna be like on my short list for designing my character, because there aren't actually a whole lot of artists out there who can like design a super cute mascot. I'm sure they exist. I just like had a really hard time finding some. And Riri is actually a mutual friend of some other people that I know, and that's how we got introduced. And I am so lucky to have been able to work with her on Sango. And she also does full VTuber illustrations. I think probably her most famous one is for Celine, which is shown here on the right. But yeah, please check her out. I think she still does live 2D commissions if you want this super cute art style. But do be warned that she is quite busy, so you'll have to get on her wait list most likely. But yeah, please check out her merch and show her support and all of that good stuff, because she deserves it. Okay, next is Tora. So Tora is one of the most incredible just artists in general. She does a lot of live 2D rigging, and she rigged my character. But in addition to that, she also does full character design. So you can't really see the middle image too close, but she does like full character designs. She actually has a degree in character design, and for a certain amount of money, which shall not be disclosed, she will do a complete character design for you if you have like if you just want to give her a clean sheet of paper. She will like just design an entire character for you from the ground up. And you can see some of her work on her website, which is I think 46cm.co.uk. So you can go. Oh no, I forgot to snooze the ads. I ran into the ads. Okay, I'm gonna pause here for a second for the people that are not subbed. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. Yeah, so she's done quite a few live 2D rigs. I think her biggest project to date was probably Eve's model, which is shown here on the left. And this one took her, I think, like 4 months working full time to actually complete that model, but is like one of the most insane models I've ever seen. You should definitely check out the showcase for that. And she also does like full character illustrations. Here's an example of some of her art, which is she plays Final Fantasy 14, and she's done some really incredible art for other people and their characters from Final Fantasy 14. Of course, that's not the only thing she draws, but I just wanted to give that as an example because I also played Final Fantasy 14. Okay, I guess I'll very slowly go to the next slide while the ad is going. Okay, emotes. Actually, one of the reasons I started streaming is because I wanted my own emotes. So thank you so much, Bun, for accepting my request to draw the pixel emotes. I couldn't have asked for a better emote artist. And yeah, I just love these emotes so much. I got really lucky because right after Bun made these emotes for me, she got super busy with other projects. If you guys were not aware, Bun actually has done numerous projects for Niji Sanji. And right now she's also working on like her Bun 2.0 model and a whole bunch of other like secret projects that she can't talk about. So I feel again very fortunate to be able to work with Bun on these emotes. My favorite is probably the spinning emote, but I love all of them. My favorite is the sparkly eye Sango. Oh yes, yeah, that is a very rare Sango. Okay, and then my HD emotes were done by Lunacy Hilly, who is she's one of my favorite, I think, like I don't know what the term is, but she's a very multi-talented person. She mainly does illustration, and she's done many emotes for a lot of different streamers. And I knew immediately that when I had more emote slots, I would commission her for my next like second batch. And I actually unlocked some new emote slots recently, so I may reach out to Luna again soon, and she is available, so we will get some new emotes pretty soon. But yeah, I really love working with both of these artists on my emotes, and they did such a great job. Okay, I think second to last slide, yeah, or maybe third to last. So graphics were done by Infleek, and they were very kind to work with me. They did animation graphics and stuff. They worked on my starting soon screen, which you probably saw if you're here in the waiting area. And they also did my BRB screen, which I really like. You'll guys see that later. And yeah, I think, oh, and they also made my logo. I almost forgot. But yeah, it was a super like nice experience working with Infleek, and they have that, I got really interested in their work because they have that like tech Arknight style. They're a huge Arknights fan, and I knew I wanted something similar, and it was super cool to be able to work with them. So thank you so much, Infleek, for working with me. Okay, and last but not least, my overlay was made by Izu Shizuka. I don't have a custom overlay, but I was actually thinking about maybe getting a custom overlay made pretty soon. If you guys want to see a really great example of their work, I was just super impressed and I was so blown away. But when Kamaniki, aka Gigi, had their VTuber debut earlier, I think it was earlier this year, they had many of their graphics done by Izu Shizuka, and it was all custom, and I was like, oh my god, I have to like get something made by them. So that's how I ended up with this overlay. But yeah, I think maybe custom overlay pretty soon, because it's been on my mind lately. And do check out their other work, because they've done a really incredible job for other VTubers. Okay, and I think this is, oh no, hang on, I have a slide that's missing here. Okay, let me see if I can fix it really quick. Sorry for the delay. There we go. Okay, I had to refresh it. Okay, this is the last slide. Special thanks to everyone on this list for supporting me throughout my streaming journey and just inspiring me in general. So if you guys didn't know, Rumi is the person that got me into VTubing in the first place. So this is all her fault. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't even be here. And then Elisa for introducing me to Rumi and also being a really good friend of mine. She's the sweetest person in the whole world, and I don't think any of this would have happened if it weren't for Elisa. So thank you. I also want to thank Koma and the Tea House for just like providing a space and a community, because before I started streaming, I was just really inspired by Koma and all of the really passionate people in the Tea House. You all are actually cracked in your passions and hobbies, and it's really, I don't like chat there super actively, but I do check all of the channels, and you guys are crazy. Did you guys know there's a keyboard channel I don't know if it's like an official keyboard channel, but there's a keyboard channel in the Tea House, and there's a lot of crazy like high-tech stuff going on there. Yeah, and also, this is like a super random thought, but Seiryu Komatsu and the Yule Noir Tea House sounds like a really good name for a rock band. Am I wrong? Okay, Yammers and Rice underscore 2 and Cups. So I want to give a huge thanks to you guys because I I don't know how to put this, but if you guys aren't familiar with these guys are like the pillar of so many communities around like the VTubing space, or at least the places that I hang out. And even though they're not like, you know, super famous, rich, crazy people, they do so much for the community, and I think they deserve more recognition. So I just want to put you guys on the list because you guys do a lot, and I can't thank you enough for like your endless support and your enthusiasm for everybody, including myself. I don't know what I what I've done to deserve you have you guys in my chat, but Dagnio, who was here earlier and gifted a bunch of subs. She is a really great friend, and she's a really good inspiration for me as well, just to like have like she's a really incredible artist first of all, and she also does a lot of like hand cam streams, but we have a very similar background, and I think because of that I just relate to her so much, and like her ability to just like show so much passion for everything she does is a huge source of inspiration to me. So I just want to give a special thanks to her. And then Yukina, she is one of Tora's VTuber children, and recently we connected, and we had a really like enlightening talk about like the VTuber industry, and so I just want to give her a special thanks for doing that. And she works in the VTuber industry, and she's like super busy all the time, so she might like kill me for saying this, but she's a little bit of a workaholic, but she still made the time to spend an hour with me and to give me advice, and I really appreciate that. Okay, the next person who who sadly could not be here today is Sleepy Squish. None of you know her unless she's like lurking in chat right now, but she's a up and coming like video game developer, and she's finishing her degree, and she's doing some really cool stuff. But before long before I started streaming, I watched her streams, and she was the person that inspired me to try Dark Souls, which is a huge like no no she has not, she's still alive. Oh my god, I just realized I made that sound super horrible. She could not make it to the stream today because she's busy being a student. she is very much alive. But yeah, she like, oh my god, I'm all flustered now. Because of her streams, she gave me the courage to try Dark Souls on my own. I was really intimidated by Dark Souls, and yeah, so it's thanks to her that I gained the courage to try things outside of my comfort zone. And now I pretty much like try and live up to that every single day that I stream, is to just like do something out of my comfort zone, and do something maybe that I haven't done before, and just have fun playing games. So that was really important for me. Okay, and then the Swamp. I don't know how many of y'all are out there. I know Vince was here earlier, but the Swamp was a Discord community for an artist who shall not be named. But they were a really cool place for me to hang out during the very, very early days of the pandemic. And you know, it was a lonely time for a lot of people, and I was very fortunate to have that community. So thank you to all you swampers out there. I know you guys are there. Yeah, oh yeah, JG Tone was there. I know Cassian was there too. Vince was part of that community. But yeah, it was a very art-centric community, and so many of you are like crazy artists and creators. So yeah, thank you for making that community. And last but not least, all of the viewers in chat, thank you so much for just like being in chat and like talking and supporting my stream. This definitely would not be nearly as fun if it weren't for you guys. So I want to thank you guys for just like being present, because that's all that this is about, I think. It's never about, for me, streaming is not about like how many viewers there are total. I never look at my view count. It's never been about the number of followers. It's just about having fun, and I want to focus on that as much as possible. So thank you for making this like the most fun part of my day, or most fun part of my week, because I don't get to stream every day, sadly. But yeah, that is the end of the presentation. Okay. Whew, oh my gosh, I'm like super hot right now because I've been talking so much. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that took an hour and 10 minutes. Whew, okay. What is next for our plan? Oh yeah, so there's a little bit of the next segment, which I am not looking forward to, because I feel a little bit exasperated right now. Hang on, I'm like super warm. I need to hydrate. Oh, okay. Let me collect myself here a little bit. So there is still more stuff to do. I think yeah, we're making okay time. I think I want to end it after, I'm aiming for like 2.5 hours, because there's still like the Q&A and stuff to get through. So let's see, let me close this. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm actually gonna take like a 5-minute break just to like collect myself a little bit. So I will show you guys my BRB screen, and then you guys can enjoy that for a little bit. And then we're after the 5-minute break, we're gonna go right into the next segment, which you maybe don't want to miss. So hang on tight, and I'll see you guys soon. Oh my gosh, Yuma, thanks for the raid. I was taking a very brief respite to collect myself. We just finished the debut slides. Thank you. Oh my gosh, there's so many of you. Hello, my name is Sango. I'm a astronaut penguin VTuber, and today is my debut. Thank you. I like playing retro games, but today we are not going to be playing games today because it's my debut, and we're gonna go through like a Q&A session next. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to post them in chat. But first, I have a special segment which I'm very nervous for. But I need to set up for it first. Let me give Yuma a shout out first. Were you guys playing Morrowind or what was going on? Oh, you were playing System Shock. That's right. Yeah, your System Shock streams are super cool. I love watching them. I am lurking most of the time because I'm usually busy, but I am there. Okay, let me shout out Yuma. Hello, everybody. Let's see. Okay. Need to do a little bit of a setup here. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, hope y'all are doing well. Hope the System Shock stream was awesome. I I don't know how far Yuma is in that game, but okay. Okay. All right, are you guys ready to sing? Because I am. Oh, wait. Wah! Okay, let me restart that and then start the music really quick. Whoa, wait. I forgot to turn on reverb. False start. Okay. Okay. Okay, reverb should be on. Let me know if it's not. All right, here we go. Baka mitai kodomo nano ne. Yume o ootte kitsutsuite. Uso ga heta na kuse ni waraenai egao o miseta. I love you mo roku ni wa nai. Kuchibeta de honna ni bukio. Nano ni to shite sayonara wa ieta no. Dame da ne, dame yo, dame nano yo. Anta ga suki de suki sugite. Dore dake tsuyui o sakete mo. Yugamanai omoide ga baka mitai. Baka mitai, honto baka ne. Anta
信じるばかりで強い女のふり切なさ夜風浴びる一人になって3年が過ぎ街並みさえも変わりましたなのにどうして未練だけ置き去りほんまに男やない指輪外しますざまみろせいせいするわいい加減待っててもバカみたいOh no, I messed up. Sorry, I missed it. I'm gonna rewind. Dameだね、ダメよ、ダメなのよ。あんたが好きで好きすぎて。どれだけ強いお酒でも歪まない思い出がバカみたいほんまに僕な男やない揃いの指輪外しますざまみろせいせいするわなんならよこの涙バカみたい
Yay! Oh my gosh, I was super nervous. Also, was the background video playing because in OBS it was like frozen. So hopefully the music was synced up with the with the karaoke. But if not, I'll just switch the screen. Okay. I was like, oh, it's frozen? No! Okay. That was my bad for not testing it before, but that's okay. Yeah, I guess if I switch the screens, then it just doesn't play. So let me fix that real quick for the next song. I was debating whether or not to sing both of the songs that I practiced or not, because the next song is really difficult, and I'm not very good at singing. Whew. But Baka Mitai is not too bad. Okay. We are going to... which screen is it? This one? Yeah, here we go. All right, this is the second and final song of today, and then we'll go into the next segment. But this is a song that every soldier should know how to sing. Oh, I am not ready for this.
What a thrill with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I'd give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Someday you go through the rain, and someday you feed on a tree frog. It's ordeal, the trial to survive, for the day we see new light. I'd give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Oh my god. I was so nervous. I was like off key the whole time. Oh my god. I need to practice that song. Okay, that's enough thinking for now. I'm like so destroyed. But thank you for bearing through it. Oh, okay. All right, maybe in the future, if I practice a whole bunch more, I will do some more karaoke. But that was extremely difficult for me. Thank you guys. Thank you for the pachis. Oh. Okay. Whew, okay, back to relaxing music for the next segment. Oh, okay. For the next part, we will be doing the Q&A. Oh wait, no, it's not the Q&A. Well, I guess we could do it, but the next segment is actually the behind the scenes. So let me see. I don't know how long I want to go through this. Mr. Hangover! Speaking of crazy singers, please check out Mr. Hangover, who actually has an incredible voice that I was not aware of until a couple of days ago. Okay, let's go to Notion. I think it would be neat to look at this. So let's do this. And we're gonna do behind the scenes, making of Sango. And I don't know, I'll go through like the most interesting things, which is the like all of the concept sketches and stuff. I think that'd be pretty neat. In case anyone was curious about the secret lore of the penguin. Okay. What do I want to look at first? If you guys are like interested in anything in particular, let me zoom in here. So the tool that I use is Notion. If you guys are, I'm not sponsored or anything, but if you guys are having a hard time organizing your life or like a project or something in any way, especially if you're working with other people, Notion is a really, really great tool, and it is also free, and you can get started today very easily, and it's super flexible, and I've used it
for not only for my VTubing, but also when I was working for the VTuber company, we were using Notion. And reverb is still on. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm reverbing my way through Notion. Okay, let me turn that off. Thank you. That was my first karaoke and maybe my last one. Oh man. Yeah, happy to sing backup for anyone, but yeah, I respect singers so much. There's so many crazy singers in the VTuber space, and I follow a lot of them and look up to them. But I don't have any formal training in singing, and I was actually thinking about maybe taking vocal lessons or something, because it'd be really cool to be able to like just sing in general. Just, you know, it's another way of expressing myself. But anyways, back to Notion. Yeah, Notion is a really great tool, recommended for any kind of project, big or small. It scales up pretty well. There are some other tools out there for like really, really big projects. Like if you have, you know, 10, 15, 20 people or something, you start to run into some issues with like some free tools. But I think Notion handles it okay. Yeah, so I guess concept sketches are probably the most interesting thing. So when I first started making Sango, I was like, I took some notes, and I think maybe the first thing I did was, I had like an ideation phase where I wrote down a whole bunch of like things that I wanted to represent, like symbolism, and designing things that are like I knew I wanted my character to be an astronaut or something like aviation related or aerospace related. So I'm like, oh yeah, let's use jet tags, let's use pale blue dot and things like that. And then yeah, just taking notes. That's actually happened later. So after I took notes, let's see, character, is it under here? Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, I started out with like designs that I was really inspired by. So here's like a little mascot for Petra, and I knew I wanted like a penguin character. So I was like, okay, I need to gather some references, and then I also looked at some other artists and stuff. So here you can see he's very me-shaped, but this is like a duck walking on a hill with a little pouch. So yeah, just collecting images like this. I wanted it to be a cute character and represent like nature and stuff. So yeah, a lot of inspirations from different areas, not just VTubing. Mir is on here again. Let's see. I also collected stuff from like Citizen Sleeper. So there's like this little dog astronaut that's on this vending machine, and there's even a penguin here too. I'm like, that's perfect. I want something like this, and that would be super cool. So this was I think a pretty big breakthrough for me when I was first designing and ideating for the final like Sango design, was when Citizen Sleeper came out. I'm like, oh yeah, this is really close to what I like. Why the name Sango? I will get to that. I actually took maybe too many notes on making my name. Let's see. Yeah, here, let me finish going through these other inspirations. So yeah, Twig is another original character from Anoush is the name of the artist. Gargura Dinosaur Kumabuti is another streamer. And they have a really cool little bear design, which I really, this was like the original inspiration for Sango, and you can tell that it was an influence just because all of the shapes were really simple. And then bird comics like False Knees. It's kind of funny how expressive you can draw birds to be if you give them like human expressions. So yeah. So those were like some of the inspirations I had. And then names. Name is a really difficult subject for me. I think coming up with a name is one of the hardest things that I personally struggle with when I come up with like either for branding or for like character name or whatever the case is. Where did I put? Is it under here? Character introduction. Yeah, okay, it's under here. So the very first thing that I did is I wrote a character introduction and like a 1-paragraph lore for the character because I have some writing skill. And so that's like the very first thing I did was write, okay, I want this and I want to represent these emotions. So like the emotions are like the feeling of wanting to fly, which is like I think it's like a very uncommon emotion, I guess, because you don't really think about wanting to fly because people can't fly, right? But if you get on an airplane, it's like, wow, like for the first time getting on an airplane, it's like, wow, I'm actually flying through the sky right now and like looking out the window and seeing mountains and stuff. So that's like kind of the emotion that I wanted to convey. So I wrote that onto a piece of paper or into Notion. And then as for the name Sango, I wanted something to represent the planet Earth. And so I came up with something. Originally, I wanted it to represent something like environmental, because environmentalism is sort of important to me. Like I want to, I think it's really important to like take care of the planet and like be environmentally conscious. So I wanted something to represent something that was from Earth. Like if I met an alien in space, what would I tell them about? And Sango means coral in Japanese. So I picked that because I wanted something like aquatic and something short. I wanted it to be less than 3 syllables or less than 4 syllables or something. So that's how Sango came to be. So it means coral in Japanese, and it represents like it represents Earth, but also represents like environmentalism because people always talk about like protecting the coral reefs and things like that. So that is the name. And then yeah, just some random stuff here. I did some other languages because it didn't necessarily have to be in Japanese. So I did like Cantonese and Mandarin, but it just didn't sound as good. So, and yeah, so I ended up sticking with the Japanese interpretation. And then here's the original lore for Sango, which I think is not really official anymore. It was just like a starting point. But yeah, Sango is like, let me expand this. Sango's just a regular penguin and then noticed that the glaciers were melting. So he wanted to protect his home in some way. So he became an astronaut and met the president of the United States, and then became and started working for NASA so that he could like do research in space on like climate change and stuff. So not super, it was just like to convey an idea, so it's not like super official. I think for when I do a lore animation, I'll have to like completely rewrite this. But this was just to like convey some of the same ideas. And yeah, so it kind of worked out. And then once I had those ideas written down, I started doing some, just drawing different shapes. There's some really cursed stuff in here because I don't know how to draw. But the very, very first version of Sango is actually drawn by Rumi. She drew this for me. She's like, hey, you should stream. Or I want to draw you because, I want you to like be in I want you to be in like my illustrations. It was for like a thank you illustration or something, I think. So anyways. Yeah, so this is Sango 1.0, and it was just like a super quick doodle by Rumi, and so Rumi is actually my design mama. And then I told her like, oh, I want a bow tie because I have to distinguish myself from other penguins in some way. So that's how the bow tie came to be. We played around with some other ideas. like putting a regular tie or like a cape or something, and then that showed up in Sango version 2, which is also done by Rumi. I have my little alien space helmet with the antenna, and I still have the bow tie, but this is a lot more clean of a shape, and I don't imagine this took Rumi more than like 10 minutes to doodle this, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty fun. I should like expand on that. We have the same mama. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, Rumi also drew Yammers the manatee. Okay, and then this is when I started drawing, which is super cursed, but some of these things should not exist in the world. But I was doing shape studies, and I'm like, okay, what shape do I want this to be? So I want like the Petra mascot and just like a ball, or maybe egg-shaped / oval, or something more combining two shapes together, or like onigiri shaped. And then the cursed thing is I drew an anthropomorphic version, so this thing should not exist in the world. I still have nightmares about this guy sometimes. Like he's gonna jump out of the page and like murder me. But yeah, I kind of grew up on Looney Tunes, and I was like, what if I drew a Looney Tunes penguin character? Kind of like Foghorn Leghorn, and then it came out super cursed, so... Yeah, the cartoon realism one, like going full anthro is like, that's super cursed. But then doing the cartoon realism, I think is a lot better. But as you guys can see, my art skill is not very high. RTX Sango Redeem, no! Oh my god! Virtuality, thanks for gifting 5 subs to the community. Holy crap. Thank you for being here. You are super nice. Speaking of people who have supported me since the beginning, Virtuality has been here since the beginning, and he's a really good friend. So thank you so much for making it to my debut. Yeah, we're actually doing the behind the scenes thing right now. We finished all of the slides, and I did some very scuffed karaoke. I was super nervous, so I was out of key the whole time. But I'm still alive. I made it. Yeah, and then after the shape study, I did some more doodling because I wanted like a more like Karanoki. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I practiced for the past 3 days, and I still sang out of key because I was so nervous. Oh, okay. But yeah, after those shape studies, I wanted to see what it would be like to draw a spacesuit. So I kind of doodled going with like the more anthropomorphic shape. And just to see what kind of it would look like. This doesn't look like a spacesuit at all, except for the helmet. This looks like more of like a like a bathrobe or something. And then I kind of drew this like alternative shape, which is combining a whole bunch of like smaller elements. This looks more like an owl instead of a penguin. And when I look back at this, I sort of regret not doing a 3/4 view for my character, because I think that would have been really cool. But I'm also happy with the way it turned out. So maybe this will be a future project where I get a 3/4 view model, because I saw Big Ham do a 3/4 view. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So maybe a future upgrade or something. And then I drew another spacesuit. Yeah, just to refine it a little bit. And I wasn't like really getting anywhere with the shapes. So I kind of gave up after this. But this was like the foundation. And then I gave all of these sketches to Riri after we confirmed that we would be working together. And then she doodled these, which looks actually really close to the final. The only thing that's different is the feet. So the feet became more defined. Like these look more like flippers. And then she ended up changing it to be a little bit sturdier. So, I guess I can move myself and like compare the two, so you can see the difference in the feet. You guys get to see feet for free twice today. So the final ended up being like more claw-like, but it's actually much better because it looks a little bit sturdier. uh, so yeah, and then yeah, this ended up pretty much being the final shape up until the very end, except for the feet, and that got updated, which was a good change. And then that was just the beginning though, because a lot of the work ended up being in the suit. We spent like maybe 15%. Oh my god, Mr. Hangover! Thanks for gifting 5 subs to the community. Holy crap. I'll thank everyone later. But I really, really appreciate all the support, guys. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so the shape, or yeah, the shape ended up being the just the beginning. It was the tip of the iceberg, and then the spacesuit ended up being much more work. Probably closer to like 70% of the work. So as you can see here, it started off with sort of a button up, and then where did we go after that? Spacesuit? Yeah, here we go. So while we were designing the suit, I had to collect another mood board together, and found a whole bunch of different things to reference off of for Riri to like design a spacesuit. And so this was like a random OC that I found that was super cool. This is like a 3D booth model that I found, and it's super cute. And I'm like, yeah, it's something like this. And then that's how she came up with like the button up. And then I have a random Hu Tao art in here, but I really liked sort of the bagginess of this. And then this is not a, well, technically it's a spacesuit, but this is like a real spacesuit that they used in the SR-71, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's a stealth jet that can go like Mach 9. If you watched the beginning of Top Gun Maverick, you'll see a suit like this. This is like the kind of suit that they would wear for that kind of aircraft, going like literally Mach 9 or whatever. And then here's an old school like silver spacesuit, and then you can see the headset. It's a double-sided headset so that there's redundancy. And you'll see this in the movie The Right Stuff. Great movie, by the way. And then here's a modern NASA spacesuit. So there's like, yeah, you guys have probably seen something like this before. And then the last sort of thing was the sci-fi spacesuit from Kojima Productions. We ended up not using a whole lot of inspiration from this because it was like too detailed and too high-tech, but it was just something that I thought was really cool looking. Okay, so when I gave that to Riri, did we go here next? No. Concept sketches? No, we already looked at that. Penguins. Oh yeah, we had penguin references too. I guess we should look at this. Yeah, a big inspiration for Sango as a penguin is from an anime called Shirokuma Cafe, which is a really funny show. I would actually recommend it. But yeah, there's a lot of like, there's a character in it named Penguin-san. And he's very expressive. Oh my god, Bun, you've seen it too? It is one of my favorite shows of all time. Savisu. Yeah, I watched it a long time ago, and yeah, there's just so many cool like screencasts that you can take just for like to show the how expressive an animal character could be. So I drew a lot of my sketches based off of Shirokuma Cafe. So here's him singing karaoke. Super funny character. This is when he gets his driver's license. And then some actual emperor penguins. I ended up using this one for the logo on my arm. Okay, let me go back. Because we were talking about the spacesuit. Is it here? I kind of move things around. Let's see. No. No, that's like settings and stuff. It's been a while since I've looked at this. Is it just under here? No. Did I not put it in here? Oh, that's okay. We're doing just a light behind the scenes anyway. But yeah, the spacesuit ended up taking a lot of effort because I changed the button up into a zipper. I can show you guys. Yeah, so the button up changed to a zipper, and then we had to design the logo together. And I kind of went through a lot of back and forth. I wonder if I could find it. I know it's in here somewhere. If a penguin is floating in space, does that count as flying? Yes, technically, if you're in space in 0G, you are flying. So I am flying all the time. Maybe it's in here. No? Oh, I should probably show that too. Or maybe, yeah, maybe I'll show that in a bit. Huh. Yeah, I can't remember where I put it. Name. Oh yeah, the name. Oh man, this took so much time. Yeah, so I tried to come up with different names for like the space station and then just ended up with Sango Station because that sounds good. And then the Twitch handle, I went through many different ideas and most of them ended up being not very good. So I ended up using the NASA convention of Astro, because if you look up any NASA astronaut, they will use Astro and then their name, and settled on that. And then I briefly thought of toyed with the idea of using like a first and a last name, but no, screw that. Just use one name. Oh yeah, and then here's the logo design stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, design review. So yeah, she did the sketches and then did all the line art. I do have a T pose, which is not used for anything, but it does exist. Oh shoot, I'm blocking. Yeah, so I do have a T pose for when I need to establish dominance, but I don't have a toggle for that. And then this was the very first sketch for the spacesuit. So yeah, but that definitely took a lot of work because I had to put together the mood board, and then I'm like, okay, I want all of these different things on the suit. Like the goldfish zipper did not exist. The 3 front patches did not exist. So all 3 of the I have to go back over. Let me put myself over here. So all 3 of the patches, or all 4 of the symbols, so the 35, the pale blue dot with the leaf on it, the penguin, and then the North Pole diamond with wings on it, all of those had separate like design boards that we had to work through together, and that took a lot of work. Astro Sango Penguinton, the 5th Lord of the Galaxy, keeper of the space station, holder of the crown. Oh my god, Vivi, thanks for stopping by. Oh man, yeah, you're actually just in time for the behind the scenes, so welcome. Thanks for dropping by and saying hello. Oh yeah, and we also toyed with different eye shapes. So originally, I did not have the blank eyes. We toyed around with different eye things, or like eye highlights, I guess, and ended up with just the blank one, which is the classic Riri style. But we did save the number 1 for the surprised toggle. And then number 3, or actually number 2, ended up being the cry toggle. Yeah. So this, even though I didn't end up using these for the default look, we were still able to recycle 2 out of the 3 that she did. Let's see. Yeah, so that was a lot of the design work. I don't think I have all of the sketches in here, but that's just to give you guys an idea. Okay, and then I don't know if there's really anything else. Yeah, so after that, we just kind of refined everything, and then and then ended up with what you guys see here. So really happy that everything came out the way it did. I'm really happy with it. You know, now that I think about it, maybe I should have had like a backpack, but you can't really see it. That's okay. Oh, I thought of adding a backpack during the whole design thing and then decided against it because you just can't see it. There's nothing back there. Okay. Where are we? Was there any other behind the scenes stuff that I want to show? That might actually be it. Oh, one more thing. In case you guys are interested about the management side of things, I did put together like all of the assets and stuff in Notion and organize everything there. Oh yeah, it's my planner. Here we go. Yeah, so my planner here is where I kind of organize everything and did like a timeline sort of thing to just like organize what I wanted to make for the channel. So let me go. Yeah, everything got completed. So you can see like, yeah, rigging for, oh, I guess I shouldn't like publish these these prices. Oh, shoot. But yeah, so like rigging, emotes, Live 2D, logo, all of this stuff was like in here and planned out. And this was the source of a lot of stress for me for a long time because I'm like, oh my god, I have to finish all of this stuff, and it was like a little bit overwhelming. So, but it ended up getting done, and I recommend doing something like this if you're doing a project like that. So, okay, we are coming up on a ad break, so I think I'm gonna take another like 5-minute break, and then we'll go into the Q&A session because I think some people submitted some questions. If you guys want to submit a question, you can. Yeah, prices are a no-no. Because you know, like sometimes people are really rude about it. Like they might see a price somewhere and then they'll like approach an artist and be like, well, this, you charge this person this and I want the same price. And I can't believe people actually do that because it's super rude, but apparently that's a thing that happens. So I have to be careful of that. So yeah, now I have to nuke the VOD. Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna BRB for like 5 minutes, and then after that, we will do questions. If you would like to submit an anonymous question, you can post it in here using the co-host form. And, or you can just ask me in chat and I'll answer. But I'm gonna prioritize all of the previously submitted questions first. So hope to see you guys in like 5 minutes or so. I'm gonna get some more water, and then we're almost done, I promise. Okay, see you guys in 5. Okay. All right, we are in the final stretch, which is the Q&A section. And I think it'll probably be the last thing we do today because I'm going over time a little bit. I do have to be somewhere in a little while, so I don't think we'll have time to look at clips, but we can save that for a future stream. So let's go. Maybe we'll look at a few clips, but because we got like a handful of questions, but not like a ton, and I don't know how long it's gonna take to get through them. So we'll do our best and see how long it takes. Okay, where is this? Nope. There we go. All right. When I first opened the anonymous question form, I got this weird question. You get $10 million, but for the rest of your life, there's a super snail that is invincible and kills you by touching you. It follows you, trying to kill you, and it can board a plane. What would you do? Well, I would probably just stay in space because I'll just like keep living here forever, and because that sounds really scary. Like something out there in the world is slowly approaching you and trying to kill you. So I think I would just stay in space. If I had to stay on Earth, then I would probably try to kill the snail, even though I don't like killing other things. If it's trying to kill me, then I'm just gonna get it before it gets me. So I'll just like go to the supermarket and then get a gopher, and then use the gopher to pick up the snail, and then I'll like throw it into the ocean or something. Or like into the incinerator, because I think snails actually can survive in water. All right, I'll write a response later. What are your favorite foods? Oh, let me zoom in so you guys can read this. Okay, that's as big as it gets. Okay. What are your favorite foods, and do you have any unpopular food opinions? I think, oh man, I have so many favorite foods. I think probably my favorite food. So I've talked about how I like comfort food a lot. I really like Italian food. So like carbonara is one of my favorite dishes. I'll just make that at home for lunch all the time, even though it's not really healthy for you. There's not a single vegetable in sight. And I've been trying to eat healthier lately, so I haven't made carbonara recently, but yeah, I think that's probably one of my favorite dishes because it's so simple. You get super high quality ingredients, and you get a super delicious dish out of it. But yeah, I think that kind of goes for any kind of Italian food. Like I like making bolognese at home. I like making lasagna at home. And I guess outside of Italian food, I really like Japanese curry is one of my favorite things to eat. I will go out or make it at home. And making it at home is kind of special because you can put whatever you want into it. So yeah, so those are probably my favorite foods. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm not really huge on desserts or anything, but I do like, recently I've been indulging myself and eating some desserts, or desserts sometimes after a big meal. I think more recently I've been eating cake. I really like tiramisu a lot. But yeah, any kind of cake or pie is a treat, and I do enjoy those very much. Favorite pie is like rhubarb pie. It's not as common, I think, of a flavor that people tend to enjoy, but it's really good. Oh, and American food. I think for American food, I really like fried chicken is probably at the top of my list. I don't often make it at home. I will go out and get I'll go to a southern restaurant and go get like fried chicken and waffles. And that's my favorite breakfast of all time. And I'll eat that at any time of the day. Except maybe not super early in the morning. I'll go for like brunch. Rhubarb strawberry pie is my favorite. Oh, Bun, you have such good taste. Yeah, I love rhubarb pie so much. Even if there's no strawberry in it, but strawberry adds a lot to it as well. And as far as unpopular food opinions, let me answer this. Do you prefer American over Korean fried chicken? Oh man, that's such a hard question. I don't have much of a sweet tooth, so I actually prefer American fried chicken because it has more spices. Like if you eat Southern fried chicken, it's got, especially like Nashville hot chicken is like super spicy. And as you guys know from my slides, I really like spicy food, even if it kills me. But I've increased my spicy tolerance over time, and I'm able to handle some pretty hot food. Not like super, super hot, but like hotter than most people on average. But I mean, Korean fried chicken is really good too. I really like the honey fried chicken from Korean places, and that's so good. But if I had to pick one, it would be American fried chicken because I prefer the savoriness over the sweetness of the Korean fried chicken. Unpopular food opinions. I like durian. I'm a durian liker. But what most people don't know about durian is that the reason it smells bad is because it oxidizes super fast. So if you open up a durian, you pretty much have to eat it immediately or it's going to like start smelling really bad. Or you like flash freeze it, which most people can't do that at home. But yeah, durian is very controversial. And let me think of I've recently heard that pineapple on pizza is controversial, but I don't understand why, because having sweet and salty in the same dish is like a good thing for most things, and pineapple is like a really delicious fruit. So I really like pineapple pizza with barbecue chicken and ham is a really good combination. Yes, bun. Pineapple on pizza, let's go. We even have an emote for it. Just eat it in a non-oxygen environment. Yeah. What other controversial food opinions do I have? I think I guess continuing on those are just normal takes. No. Okay, I guess I'm a normie. I'm trying to think of a controversial opinion. I don't like Chicago deep dish pizza. I think it's a little bit gross. There's another style of pizza from Chicago called tavern style pizza, and it's like cracker crust, and it's actually way better than deep dish in my opinion. Like if you're gonna make a deep dish pizza, you might as well just make a lasagna. So it's like, why would you make deep dish pizza when you could just make a lasagna instead? But I'll eat deep dish pizza. It's just not my favorite thing. There's just a little bit, it's like too saucy, and sometimes it's hard to get the balance right. Most places aren't gonna make it right. Like they either put too much sauce or not enough sauce, and then there's like too much cheese. And then the toppings only form like the middle or the top layer of the deep dish. You can't really put, or like traditionally you don't put toppings inside of the deep dish except for cheese. So it's a very unbalanced dish in my opinion, and I prefer things with a little bit more I don't know, a little bit more balance. Like New York pizza, that's I think a way more balanced style of pizza. But anyway, trying to think of if there's anything else. I don't think so. I'm pretty normal. I just like delicious food. And I'm not shy about like weird ingredient combinations as long as it's tasty. Okay. I guess we could go on to the next question, unless anyone has any more food questions. You can just post them in chat. What are your personal game of the year contenders? Oh man, that's a tough one. So when I did my top 25 games last month or whenever it was, I didn't put anything that was from this year. Let's look at OpenCritic. Wait, is it OpenCritic? Yeah, let's see what has come out recently. I haven't played any Mario games recently. Game of the year. What came out this year? Recently released. Would you rather consider a game of the year as the games you played that year or games that came out? I do games that came out during the past year because that's what people vote on. Yeah, so unfortunately, a lot of these I haven't played. Like Baldur's Gate 3, I know, I think even though I haven't played it, I've seen a lot of like, I've watched people play it on their streams, and I've seen a lot of like behind the scenes like interviews, and I think so much passion and love went into Baldur's Gate 3 that I think it deserves more than any other game that came out this year to win. Yeah, this year has been absolutely insane. And here's maybe a controversial opinion about games. I think Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom is boring. Like I don't actually like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Sorry guys. I just think it's not fun game design. But I'm also a huge boomer and I prefer old Zeldas because it's like a very encapsulated like Zelda adventure. The last Zelda game that I enjoyed was Wind Waker because it's very much in that style. Like if you played Link to the Past and you play, oh my god, I got Kieran and Bear to chat because I said Breath of the Wild is bad. That was just bait to get Kieran and Bear to chat in my chat. the Metal Gear Solid alert sound plays and then Bear zooms into my chat. But yeah, I think that is a lot. I will get a lot of hate and I will take every bit of it. I just think it's not very fun game design. I think it's the same reason I didn't enjoy playing Genshin Impact. And I know people are going to hate me for making that comparison, but you know, Genshin Impact took most of their inspiration from Breath of the Wild. And it's not really about like the game itself. Like I like Zelda, but I think the game design is just not enjoyable for me. Like solving the puzzles like don't seem that interesting to me. And then exploring a huge open world I think that's probably the best aspect of them. And I think open exploration can be fun, but I think it's not the type of Zelda that I enjoy. I enjoy like closed loop adventure experiences. Like I think Wind Waker did it pretty well because you can explore the world on your boat, but you still have to it's like part of a grander adventure, whereas in Breath of the Wild it's more of like it's like too open-ended for me. So anyway, that's splitting hairs a little bit, and I'll take all the hate comments because I deserve them for that opinion. So anyway, hopefully what I'm saying makes sense, but that is my rationale. But yeah, Metroid Prime Remastered, I think it hits the nostalgia factor for me because I really like Metroid a lot. I forgive you. Oh, that sounded a little bit insincere. Do you really forgive me? Just joking. Yeah, Metroid Prime I think is a great game. Probably not a Game of the Year contender. No? Oh no! Ari will remember that. Okay, Resident Evil 4 Remake, I think might be up there. Let's see what else came out. Dave the Diver. I've heard so many good things about Dave the Diver, and I haven't played it, so I don't know what it's about. Cyberpunk 2077, Sea of Stars. Yeah, I think nothing really comes close to touching Baldur's Gate 3 for me, because like it's so obvious how much the team at Larian put like so much passion into the game. They didn't put any of like the modern gaming sins into their game, like microtransactions and DLC and all of that other crap. They're just like, okay, here's our game. We worked on it for this long. If you don't enjoy it, fine, but here's what we got. And it's like, it's just incredible. I don't think Baldur's Gate is for everyone because yeah, you just kind of have to tolerate those like very text heavy RPGs. Like if you don't like Baldur's Gate 3, you're probably not going to like most visual novels. You're probably not going to like Disco Elysium. You're probably not going to like any of the other like overhead style RPGs like Baldur's Gate 2, Icewind Dale, Neverwinter Nights, and etc. And that's just the whole genre, and there's nothing wrong with not liking that genre, so. But yeah, I guess in terms of like overall game development wise, even if you don't like Baldur's Gate 3, I think it deserves to win the Game of the Year. So that's my answer. Cyberpunk 2077 is really good. I have not played it. My stance with these types of games, so this applies to both Bethesda and I guess now CD Projekt Red, because they made Cyberpunk, is to wait for the game to exist for at least 2 years before I buy it. Or like wait for the first DLC to come out and then buy it. Because it was reportedly very buggy on launch. Same deal with Starfield. And that's just the way these games work. Yeah, I've heard that it's like an actual playable game and it's not buggy anymore. So I think now is a really good time to get into it. And I think it's probably one of like the games that will suck me in the most, because I really enjoy the first person narrative games like Deus Ex and Metroid Prime, and I didn't actually play System Shock, but you know, those types of games I think are super fun for me. So I would like to play Cyberpunk at some point. Okay. So yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is my Game of the Year. Definitely deserves that win. What are your favorite or least favorite things about rocket science? Oh, geez, this is what a question. I was not expecting that. I was expecting questions about food and VTubing. Okay, I'm gonna have to hydrate for this one. Least, I'll start with my most favorite things about rocket science. I'm working on really cool shit, and the whole the whole point of the stuff that I'm working on is to like literally send people into space. And I think that's like, in terms of job inspiration, I think that ranks pretty high on the list. I think when I first got into it, as I think like most people, I was a pretty naive young penguin out of college, and I'm like, I want to change the world. So I was like, okay, my dream job is to work for this company because they're trying to get humanity back into space. And as I got closer and closer and eventually landed my dream job, I very quickly became disillusioned as to how good it would be. Mainly because this is a little bit of a cynical outlook, but I think mainly because every job has bullshit that you deal with. And working on space technology is no different. Oh, Kenna, welcome to the stream. Thanks for subscribing for 20 months. Holy crap. It's been an honor following you on this journey. Can't wait to see more of you. Sing your heart out. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to practice singing a lot more if I want to do another karaoke. I was losing it. But yeah, every job has, you know, bad stuff that you have to deal with. and whether or not you continue in that job is partially a matter of whether you can tolerate the bullshit of the day-to-day. Because like Adam Savage has a really good YouTube video about this where he answers questions. And like Adam Savage of Mythbusters fame, he's arguably has one of the coolest jobs on the planet, which is like making special effects and like running a TV show. But there were a lot of things that made him almost quit because it was just like very stressful and there's like a lot of crap that you have to deal with. So I guess what I'm saying is your passion has to outweigh the trials of your day-to-day job. And thankfully for me, that is so far true. Although it's been getting less and less these days because I found a new passion, which is VTubing. And I briefly teased that maybe I'll quit my space job and work for a VTuber company. But I think that would be potentially a really bad idea because I've been in there and some of the things that I had to deal with were pretty excruciating from like a day-to-day work standpoint. So anyway, I can talk about that in a different stream. But yeah, I think that's probably my favorite thing is just like the fact that I work on things where the sole purpose is to send people into space, and the people that I get to work with are similarly passionate about doing that. So being in that environment where everyone to some degree has that belief that space is the next frontier and we're all there to make it like a reality, I think is probably the coolest thing about the job. Least favorite things. Let me take another sip of water. Least favorite thing is probably how in over our heads we are about how to get people back into space. I guess more specifically, it's not a easy job, and we tolerate it because we believe in the mission to some extent. The companies that are doing this are a little bit crazy because they have a tendency to set extremely aggressive schedules, almost like imagine some AAA game studio sets a totally unreasonable release date for making like the next blockbuster video game. It's basically like that, except we're making rockets instead of video games. So sometimes management can be a little bit disconnected from the people working on the ground who actually like kind of understand what's going on, and it's a little bit of a weird dynamic. It's existed it's as old as the entire industry, because I'm not sure what the reason is, but I think, you know, there's no reason to be as crazy about schedules as they are, because there's not really there's no deadline for getting people back into space. It's like you should just like do your best and do things right. And yeah, sure, sometimes you'll need to crunch a little bit, but there's no deadline for getting people in space. It's all of the crazy schedules are driven by politics and money, because a lot of this money comes from NASA, and they set deadlines for, okay, we are hiring you to build this thing in 5 years or whatever, and whether or not you get money depends on how fast you work. So a lot of it comes from that. So it is unfortunately a political problem rather than a making rockets problem, which is expected. There's a whole book about this if you guys are interested, called Inventing Accuracy by, what's his name? I think his name is Donald Mackenzie. But it's a really interesting book. It's not actually about technology, although it talks about technology. It's actually a sociology book about how cutting edge technology, politics, and the public kind of interact with each other. And there's that really interesting dynamic about how how like politics kind of drives the need for the technology. In the book, they talk about the creation of nuclear missile guidance systems, which is a really interesting topic. And so how politics kind of drives the need for that technology because of, you know, national security or whatever, and then the public kind of holding everything accountable, sort of. So yeah, really interesting book. If you're a history nerd, I would highly recommend it. Sounds kind of scary from a safety perspective. Yeah, I think everything is safe, but there have been some pretty famous incidents in the past where things were not safe, and I hope that we have I hope that we've learned from those incidents. But you know, there's no guarantees, and but yeah, it's always a struggle between like maximum safety and being able to develop the technology and getting it done according to the schedule that's been set for us. So yeah, really interesting problem. It has worn me and my patience pretty thin at some points in my life, but I think for the most part, it's a worthwhile endeavor. So anyway, yeah, so I guess to summarize, my least favorite thing about rocket science is the politics. And not necessarily the politics of like working in your office. All of the people that I work with, including like the middle management, they're actually really good, and it's more of like the geopolitical politics, like the national politics of the whole thing, because money comes from Congress. Congress gives a mere 2%, or is it even 2%? It's like 0.2% of the national budget to NASA, and then NASA gives that to us to build rockets. So, oh man, whew. These questions are taking it out of me. Okay, what's the best advice you've ever gotten? Oh man. I guess it depends on what you're talking about. For VTubing, the best advice I've ever gotten is to focus on what is the most fun that you can have and not really focus on the numbers or like the quote unquote success of VTubing. I know I'm different because I'm not pursuing this to be a full-time streamer, whereas I know a lot of people are, and maybe they might be, depending on their circumstances, they might even depend on it for income every month or something. So if you're in that position, maybe this advice doesn't apply. But at the same time, I also think it does apply to a large degree, because if you always make content to cater to a certain audience, then it might not necessarily be the thing that you enjoy doing the most. Whereas if you make content that you enjoy, then people are naturally going to gravitate to you for not necessarily even for like the things that you do on stream, but maybe just even for your personality. So like the meta, quote unquote, for streaming now, especially for VTubing, is that if you don't have some sort of like an interesting, if you're not like an interesting person, this is like a sort of a harsh way to put it. If you're not an interesting person, then people aren't going to have a reason to watch you. So you just have to just simply be more interesting. But if only it was that easy. But there are things that you can do. But yeah, you just have to focus more on like self-enjoyment, and through self-enjoyment, you are going to present your best self on stream and let the best parts of your personality and your entertainer self shine through. Whereas if you're not enjoying the things that you do on stream, then people are like, you're not gonna like enjoy being on stream. You might be phoning it in eventually and get burned out, and then that will lead to just like you quitting your chasing your passion. So So I think as far as like streaming goes, do the thing that is enjoyable for you. And I think people who are trying to do it full time have to maybe balance doing things that are trendy versus things that they enjoy the most. So like, so one of the things that I have told people before is to try to make, try to add some variety to your content so that you're not doing the same thing all the time, so that it doesn't get stale. Because if you're doing the same thing all the time, people might get bored, and unless you have like a really, really attractive personality, they're probably not going to watch you as often, because people like, or a lot of people like having variety. So if you provide that variety for them through your content, that that really helps with retaining an audience. So anyway, I don't even know how I got on this topic, but so yeah, as far as streaming goes, that's like the best advice I've ever gotten. The best life advice I've ever gotten is, I'm trying to think here. The best life advice I've ever gotten is to take more risks. And this applies in large part to content as well. So I have like a pretty, like risk averse type of personality. I think for like a lot of my formative years, I would say, because I was like very focused on just like finishing school, and engineering school was pretty difficult for me. So I was like very career focused. I was like just chasing the next job, and I didn't really take a lot of risks in terms of like other parts of my life. And I think if I had a regret, I think that would probably be one of them, because in order to be tying it back to streaming again, in order to be like an entertaining person, you have to be like a multi-dimensional person. Like there should be more to your life than just one thing. And it's like the same reason I would tell someone to make a wide variety of friends. Like I think a problem a lot of VTubers have is that they only make friends with other VTubers. And that's totally fine if you're having fun, but I think your life would be a lot more rich if you made friends in other areas. Like I have friends from the gym, I have friends from my work, I have friends through VTubing, I have friends that I met through like different things that I've signed up for before, like just, you know, signing up for random things that looked interesting to me. I have friends from doing that type of stuff. Because the more diversity you have in your life in terms of like opinions and perspectives and just like general flavors, the better of a person and more entertaining person you are going to be. And that's honestly the best advice I've ever gotten. So the starting point for all of that is to take more risks, because you need to be able to feel comfortable saying yes to things that might be outside of your comfort zone. And I wish I had started doing that sooner, because because of various reasons. Like I think I would have enjoyed my college years a lot more if I had said yes to a lot of things that people asked me to do, but I said no because I was like, oh, I'm studying, so I can't go out this weekend, or, you know, things like that. I think having friends who aren't in your exclusive interests humbles you a lot. Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it. It's like you want someone to give you outside perspectives or just like expose you to different ideas, because if you only make friends in a certain area, then you will for sure, like guaranteed, you will get tunnel vision. If you only make friends with VTubers, all of your content is going to revolve around things VTubers are already doing. And not that there isn't variety, but if you look at like the wider streaming market, for example, there's a lot more going on besides what VTubers are doing. And so I think the two are starting to merge a little bit between normal quote unquote flesh tubers and VTubers. To where VTubers are starting to realize like, oh shit, I have to be entertaining. I can't just like rely on my VTuber model to like, you know, to capture the interest of passerbys and. But yeah, as much as I'm passionate and find enjoyment in VTubers, I think it's just like one facet of my life. So if you feel like you are struggling with tunnel vision, or you're just like struggling to find passion in general, just try doing something that you normally don't do. Take risks. Oh man, how am I gonna remember all of this to write it down later? Because I have to respond to all of these. Okay. Oh. Ooh, okay. I have to go soon, so I'm gonna try and speed through these a little bit. Oh geez, there's so many. Okay. What is the best advice you got? What is something you want to accomplish in your lifetime? I want to send astronauts into space, for real. It hasn't happened yet, but I want to like be on the program and have worked on something that is sending people into space. I'm working on that now, but you know, the time scale for these things is like decades, so it's, you know, it's happening at a very slow pace. In terms of streaming, I'm trying to think. In terms of streaming, I think my ultimate goal is probably the original animation. That takes a lot of money and a lot of support and a lot of effort. I'm taking volunteers for $1,000 donations. But that's literally how much money it takes to hire an animation team and make like even just like 30 seconds of animation is a pretty huge undertaking. So I think that's my ultimate goal for streaming. I don't know if I'll ever be able to achieve that, but I think it'd be super cool if I did. Especially for someone who isn't pursuing streaming as a career, I think it can be maybe even impossible, but we'll see. What is your favorite meme? Oh geez. Let me think here. I think this might be recency bias, but I think there is only one thing that has lived in my brain and given me brain rot so bad that it's just like stayed in my brain forever since I experienced it. Is let's see. Is Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. It hits all of the right things for me because of the oh, it's muted. Because of the GAR, it's got the GAR aspect. It's got cyberpunk / mechs in it. It has Metal Gear Solid in it. And it's like literally one of the best video game experiences I've had in my entire life. The whole ending sequence is so theatric, and I feel like whoever wrote the ending for this game is just a total genius. And on top of that, the soundtrack is just way like more insane and way better than it has any right to be. Because the guy, the composer, Jamie Christopherson, this was his first action game album, and it was his first metal album, and he made a fucking masterpiece. So that is my answer for favorite meme. Oh man. Yeah, I have permanent brain rot from playing Metal Gear Rising. Okay. Do you like to sing? Yes, I love singing. I don't have any formal vocal training, but I would really like to take some vocal lessons. I think my biggest weakness, I guess, if you could call it that, with singing is my range is not very good, and also like just fundamentals, because again, I don't have any training. So I'd like to take vocal lessons. I'm really inspired by, this is like a VTuber thing, and I guess to a larger extent Utaite thing, but just like seeing all of the really incredible song covers released pretty much like every week in Utaite/VTuber space is a huge inspiration for me. If it weren't for like, if it weren't for like Wisteria, if it weren't for like Kip, and people that I actually get to talk to who also are passionate about singing, I probably wouldn't be as interested. So you can I blame them for getting me into like trying to sing better. I've been told that I have a pretty nice voice. I don't know if I believe that or not, but I would like to refine that into some kind of a singing voice, because I never imagined that I would sound good like talking or streaming or even singing for that matter. And I still don't believe it when people tell me that I have like a nice sounding voice, because I hear so many nice voices in Utaite and VTuber space that I'm just like, man, how can how can I ever like compare to somebody like that? And yeah, I don't know, but it's very kind of you guys to say that I do have a nice voice, so I appreciate it, but I still don't believe you guys. But I will try my best, and I will try to practice karaoke some more. I can already feel my voice going a little bit, but yeah, I'd love to sing more. I don't know if I'd ever do a song cover, but it would be really cool to do something. Like if I end up making a song cover, I think that'd be pretty neat, because it's because this game is about, or this channel is all about gaming, and if I make something that isn't about gaming, I think that's a pretty big win. So I think that'd be really neat. Okay, if you could get any game remade, what would it be? Oh man, there's so many options out there. My short list, number one is Xenogears. I think deserves a remake, because if you haven't played Xenogears, there is some relation to Xenosaga and Xenoblade Chronicles. It's like it's very loosely related, but Xenogears is a very old RPG on the PlayStation that was made by Squaresoft. It's widely considered to be one of the best JRPGs of all time for a lot of different reasons, but for me, the story is just insane, and it has mechs, which I really like. But because of the schedule that they had at the time at Squaresoft, they sort of rushed the second half of the game to just be able to make the deadline, and a lot of it sort of like fell apart during the second half of the game. So I think out of any game in existence that deserves to be remade, it has to be Xenogears. And give them the schedule they need and just remake the game. And that would be, and remake it exactly how they made it back in 1996, or I think is when it came out. It was one of those games that used like anime cutscenes, because the PS1 graphics were like not super good. So they did like fully animated anime cutscenes, and it was really quite a game. And then the other two probably would be, I would say Nier, but they already remade Nier and it came out really well. I would also say Drakengard probably deserves a remake because the combat is super janky. So like the first 3 Drakengards, I think if they remade those, that would be pretty insane. And yeah, so definitely Xenogears, and then maybe Drakengard. Oh man. Okay, who do you main in Super Smash Bros. Melee? So I don't play Smash. I don't know anything about Smash. I'm a Street Fighter guy. But if I had to main something in Smash, I would probably... I even have to look up the roster. Super Smash Bros. Melee characters. I don't even know who's in that game. Okay. Ryu main in Smash? Oh my god. I I'm partial to Pikachu or Jigglypuff because they're small little guys. I might do Kirby. I might say Kirby. And then for like for a non-little guy character, I would probably main. Oh wait, Pichu's in Smash? What the heck? That's so weird. I would probably main Samus because I really like Metroid. So that's my answer. I don't know anything about Smash Bros. Or Melee or anything. Never even played it a single time. But yeah, I would do a little guy like Pikachu, Jigglypuff, Kirby, and then my non-little guy pick is Samus. All right. What are some non-numbers related goals for your streams before your first debut anniversary? Oh man, before my debut anniversary. Oh, okay. So in the next year, if oh man, this is a hard question. I think if I released some kind of a lore video, not necessarily a original animation in the next year, that would be a really insane goal for me. I would also like to release some small merch like stickers or charms or both. What else? I want to also be able to finish another Dark Souls game. That would be pretty epic. Dark Souls has been like such a great gaming experience, and I really can't wait to play more, but there's so many games in the way. Let's see. Yeah, I think those are probably my top 3 goals, but I think the majority of things that that I'm going to be working on is just like trying to finish games. But yeah, it would be pretty cool if I could like release some sort of a lore video. Oh, and this is still sort of a secret, but I also want to do a character design and finish that. I haven't started planning anything for it yet, but I do have some people scoped out that could work on it. So it's yeah, because one of the things that I'm probably not going to do is ever get a human model for Sango. So Sango is going to be a penguin forever, which kind of makes me sad because I've always wanted to like have a human character design. So I was thinking of, okay, how can I like get some sort of a human character on my channel? And I think I figured out something. So it's just an idea for now, but if I could finish that character design in the next year, I would be really happy. Okay. What is your favorite fruit? What is your favorite vegetable? Wait, let me refresh this because I feel like I might have missed. Oh yeah. Who's your Oshi? Okay, this is also a very hard question. Eyes, yeah. you guys are gonna have to wait. But yeah, I have a human character design, but it's not going to be a replacement for Sango because Sango is gonna stay a penguin forever. So it'll be something else. But anyways, who's your Oshi? This is a hard question. So this is sort of controversial. I feel like people hold different standards for Oshi because some people believe like you can only have one Oshi and that's it. And that's like the person that you support no matter what. And I think that's still valid. I think you can still do both. Because like in Japan, they have the term Kami-oshi, which is like your absolute number one. And I think that's what people are talking about when they say that. But I think in general, it's okay to have multiple Oshis because there's like, there's so many, you know, VTubers out there that resonate you in one way or another. So I kind of have a different one for every like major agency out there. My Hololive Oshi is Korone. She's like a serious true retro gamer. She's one of the first Hololives that I ever watched. And she's just like endlessly entertaining. I'll support her until the world explodes. And I can't watch her streams that often anymore, but I think in terms of like the type of content that I make, she is the closest that I, in terms of like content similarity to me. I don't play as many of like old, like super retro games as she does. She's just like super, her power level is too high. But that's the type of content that I enjoy with the most, because I watch a lot of retro streamers on Twitch as well. And I'm not going to name all of them because there's too many, but so that's Hololive. Niji Sanji, I would say I've only watched Niji Sanji EN, but Pomu Rainpuff, because she played Metal Gear Solid for the first time, and then she got that insane MGS bug in her brain, and it has since never stopped, and I love her so much for that. She is so insane that she literally bought a Metal Gear Solid 3 pachinko machine from Japan with her own money because she loves Big Boss. Like, I don't know anyone on planet Earth that has done that. So she literally like played Metal Gear Solid for the first time last year. Yeah. And she became so insane about MGS that she has now reached levels of insanity never before seen in VTuber history. So that's Pomo Rainpuff. Oh man, okay. I think I'm gonna cut it off there because otherwise I'm just gonna be sitting here talking about VTubers for the next like 3 hours, and I'm actually like late for my next appointment. So let me get through the last question. Okay, hi Sango, what's your favorite fruit and what's your favorite vegetable? Oh man, favorite fruit is probably mango. It's just so delicious and juicy. I think mango's pretty goated. Favorite vegetable, I'll name 3 vegetables. I really like broccolini, which is like baby broccoli. It has a much more like raw flavor compared to normal broccoli. So you probably wouldn't eat it raw, but if you cook it, it has a really nice flavor. So if you do sauteed broccolini, oh man, it is so good. Just like a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and sear it on a pan. Ooh. So yeah, give that a shot. Chard is another one. It's spelled C-H-A-R-D. It's sort of like kale, but it's a little bit more leafy. It has kind of like a celery stalk, and it has a really big leaf. But if you saute that and then like make a side of like polenta or like a side of like brown rice or something, really good vegetable just on its own. What's a third vegetable that I really like? Probably sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are superior to normal potatoes for pretty much everything except for like maybe mashed potatoes. Sweet potato fries are better than normal fries in my opinion. Although I still really like normal fries, but sweet potato fries are just like S tier. So, and I would like eat a sweet potato on its own with like maybe a little bit of butter, whereas with like a baked normal potato, it's like, it's good, but it's not that good. So those are my 3 vegetable picks. Whew, okay. All right, that is the end. We made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much everyone for stopping by and saying hello. I'm like literally late for my next appointment, so I don't have time to thank everyone right now. So I will thank everyone in the next stream. And I will post a tweet about it. It's just like so insane that so many people showed up. I was only expecting like 5 people to show up. so thank you so much for all the raids, and yeah, it really means a lot that you guys were here and just to hang out with me. And I had originally intended to debut in the summer, but I'm really glad that I was like finally able to do it, because it's been a burden on my shoulders for a long time, and I felt bad for not giving credit to all of the amazing people that helped me put all of this together for such a long time. So yeah, thank you again so much, especially Bun. Thank you for being here. Like actually, like, extra thank you to Bun and for like having the having her community, because sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I will randomly like look at Bun's Twitter and see like a random doodle, and it just like makes my day instantly better. So it's really been nice just to have you around. Sorry, I don't have the right words for it. Yeah, thank you Lunacy for working on my HD emotes. Thank you Riri for all of the amazing art that you do for Sango, and thank you Tora for the awesome rigging. You're like literally the most insane rigger of all time, like better than Iron Vertex, and I can't believe I got to work with you, so thank you so much. Oh man, okay, I got that all off my chest. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really flabbergasted, so I'm not finding the right words, but yeah, I really appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys soon, because we're gonna continue Alan Wake 2, which I'm really excited for, and then I will probably be fighting the final boss in Dark Souls next, this coming week. So look forward to that. I will put out a schedule tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I think I want to raid someone, so let's look for someone to raid. And then I have to like literally get in my car and drive because I'm late. Okay. Whew, okay. Who is it? Oh, let's raid Tofi. Tofi is hosting a super special event. I heard she put a lot of effort into it, and she's a really amazing person. Speaking of people with like super nice voices, she's like top 3 nice voice on Twitch, in my opinion. So let's go raid Tofi. Her name is Tofi Music, and our raid message will be our usual one. If you're not sub, use whatever emotes you would like. And let's go support her. So yeah, it's like a fall community event, and she put a ton of work into it. So please give her a follow. She does, she composes music and she plays the piano, and she has a really amazing voice. And she's like one of the most creative people that I know of on Twitch. So yeah, please support her, and I will see you guys soon. Bye. Thank you.